Good afternoon. My name is Prita. I'm from the Consumer and Investor Office at the Securities Commissions Malaysia. Welcome to our Digital Literacy for Seniors program. Today's webinar is on how to invest safely in Bitcoin using Luno. On behalf of the SC, I wish to record our appreciation to higher seniors for their assistance in promoting this program. Next, please. We are pleased to have with us today Mr. Ross from Luno to present the topic, how to invest safely in Bitcoin using Luno. Please allow me to share a brief background on Mr. Ross. Ross is the Community and Education Lead at Luno Malaysia. He's passionate about educating people about cryptocurrency and helping them upgrade their finances. Ross graduated with a bachelor's in psychology from Helps University and pursued a master's in educational psychology at University Malaya. Please stay tuned till the end of the session as we will be having a short Q&A session. Please do follow us on our social media platform for useful information on investing and latest updates on our initiatives. Now I'll pass over to Ross to share his presentation titled, How to Invest Safely in Bitcoin Using Luno. Over to you, Ross.
Thank you so much, Prita. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. A very big thank you to the SC for organizing the digital literacy workshop. I think it's really important, especially that we also cater for senior citizens such as those who are in the audience listening. And if those of you who are here are younger, no worries. There is no age limit when it comes to learning about investing in cryptocurrencies. Okay, let me just get my slides ready so that all of you can enjoy together. Go to slideshow mode. Prita, can you just confirm for me, Prita, that the slides are displaying clearly on the screen?
Yes, it looks fine. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Once again, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As Prita has introduced me just now, my name is Ross Stephenson. I'm the current Community and Education Lead for Luno Malaysia. Luno is the first registered and licensed digital asset exchange in Malaysia where you can buy Bitcoin and Ethereum safely. Now, today I'm going to teach you a little bit about what Bitcoin is and how you can get started investing in it via Luno. For those of you in the audience, perhaps some of you are already familiar with Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Well, then some of my presentation will be a refresher for you. And that's a good thing because it's always good to refresh your memory. For those of you in the audience, maybe you've never heard of this word Bitcoin. Maybe you've never heard of cryptocurrencies before. Then wonderful. Today's presentation will be presenting some new knowledge for you to take home today. Now, before I go any further, I think it's very important that I make this clear disclaimer that anything that I share today is not financial advice. What does that mean? I'm going to be talking about cryptocurrencies, investing, Bitcoin, but that does not mean you should buy, and it doesn't mean you should sell. If you need financial advice, always consult a licensed financial advisor. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a cryptocurrency educator. I'm here to teach you so that you can make responsible investment decisions on your own. Remember, it's your money. You are responsible. Now, today's agenda is going to be quite simple, straightforward. I'm going to share a bit of my personal story, the evolution of finance. What is Bitcoin? So for those of you, especially if you're new to this, I think it's important to understand that a changing narrative between how investors used to see Bitcoin and how they see it today, regulations in Malaysia, getting started, regulated versus unregulated exchanges, and some cyber security awareness. All right. Now, my story started in 2017 when I first encountered Bitcoin. My friend was telling me about it in university, and I was listening out of curiosity, but I thought it was a scam. That's why I wrote on my Facebook page in 2017 that Bitcoin is going to crash and burn. It's not going to have any value for the long term because it doesn't make any sense, right? And I said this because I had read articles online that said that were very complex. I put the word complex. Until date, I said, I can't fully wrap my head around its concept entirely. So I was really struggling because in 2017, there were no cryptocurrency educators really teaching people about what Bitcoin really is in simple English. And because of that, I thought, this thing doesn't make sense. It's going to crash. It's going to burn. It's a fraud. It's a scam. I shouldn't invest in it. How I regret. Imagine if I had really studied it properly and understood, I would have definitely gone in and started investing much earlier than before. But what changed was that after I had done my research, guess what? Today, I work in the biggest cryptocurrency exchange in Malaysia. It's called Luno. And I'm sure some of you may have even seen our advertisements before in KL and other places. We want to equip all Malaysians with the power of crypto. And that's my job. Now, as a cryptocurrency educator here at Luno, I want to bring crypto education to all Malaysians, right? That's my mission. to put the power of crypto into the hands of all Malaysians. You see, in 2017, I was a skeptic. I didn't believe. After I did my careful study and research and I understood what cryptocurrencies are, what Bitcoin is, then I decided this is a valuable investment for myself. And now I want to share that knowledge with the whole of the country. But before we go further into Bitcoin, we need to look at the past in order to understand where we are today, because otherwise we won't know how we got to where we are. So if you look at the past, in terms of finance, human beings came up with the barter system. That was the first system of exchange that we ever used. In fact, my grandmother, ladies and gentlemen, my grandmother actually used the barter system. She came from a kampong in Malacca, and those days in the kampong, in the village in Malacca, they didn't have much money. So my grandmother would grow vegetables and take the vegetables to the chicken seller uncle, and she would go and get chicken instead of the she would exchange the vegetables for chicken. And it was wonderful because it worked. But obviously, system barter does have its downfalls because you can't keep vegetables and chicken for long, right? They will go rotten. And so human beings, we evolved our system of finance. We said, okay, I've got these precious metals like gold, silver, copper. And so they created coins, right? We minted coins and we used that as a form of finance and currency. And then we went one step further. We evolved using paper, much easier, much more easier to transact with, easier to carry. And then we went one step further. We got plastic, right? We got credit cards and we just swipe, we just tap and pay. We continue to evolve our system of finance. Guess what? We evolved again. Now we have e-wallets, your Grab Pay, Shopee Pay, Touch and Go. Everybody's got an e-wallet. In fact, most of us don't even carry cash anymore, right? And then finally, ladies and gentlemen, my question to you is, what do you think comes next in the evolution of finance? Whether we like it or not, finance is always evolving. Something's coming next. And at Luno, we believe that that niche is filled by cryptocurrency, starting with Bitcoin, the biggest and the most popular. So what is Bitcoin? Really, what is Bitcoin? This is the number one question I get from young people, from old people. Sometimes people always come up and ask me, what is this digital currency people talk about? So I define Bitcoin in three simple words: digital, decentralized currency. That's the most basic definition I can give you. Let's look at each word one by one. The first word is digital. What does digital mean? If you take your phone and take a picture of a flower, the flower is the physical object and the picture in your phone is the digital, right? So digital simply means it's something that's online and doesn't have a physical component. So unlike cash, for example, all of you, I'm sure you carry cash with you. I've got paper money with me, fiat currency. This is physical, I can hold it. But Bitcoin is not something you can hold. It's something that's online. It's the first fully digital currency that was created. And not only that, it's digital and it's also fixed. You see, Bitcoin has been created in a way that there will only be 21 million Bitcoins in the world. After 21 million are produced, there will never be more Bitcoins. And so it's very similar to gold, but it's the digital form of it, which is why Bitcoin has the nickname digital gold. Gold is also limited and scarce, and that's why it's valuable. Bitcoin is also limited because it's limited to 21 million and it's digital. So that's why people refer to it, as I said, as digital gold. The second word, decentralized, I'll explain with the next slide because it's a bit more complex. Let's look at the third word, currency. Currency is anything that we use as a system of payment, right? It doesn't have to be money. It could be even seashells. Those days, people use rocks and precious metals or whatever it is. They use that as a system of currency to exchange between people. Bitcoin functions like a system of currency. In fact, when it was created to be a system of currency. That means I have Bitcoin, you have something I want, I transfer it to you quickly and very cheaply, and then you can give me the goods or services in return. That was the original intention for Bitcoin. That is also its utility. I can transfer Bitcoin from Malaysia to America to Germany to China, anywhere in the world, very quickly and very affordably, right? It's much faster and cheaper than traditional finance when it comes to transferring overseas. Now, we understand digital, we understand currency. What about decentralized? Now, guys, if you understand what decentralized means, you understand the entire philosophy of cryptocurrency. But to help me explain it, let me show you this slide. Now, To understand decentralized, we must first refresh our memory. What is centralized? Okay, so look at this picture over here. This is a game of Monopoly. I'm sure you guys have seen it or played Monopoly before. In the game of Monopoly, everybody's a player, but one player is special. He has a special role. He is the banker, right? The banker controls the flow of money in the game of Monopoly. This is an example of a centralized system where one organization, one party is in charge of the flow of currency, right? So in Malaysia, it's Bank Negara Malaysia. In America, it's the Federal Reserve. They are in charge of printing money, keeping supply and inflation in check. And it's one central organization that controls and oversees. Now, in some ways, this is a good thing, but in some ways, it can also be a bad thing. What if mistakes happen? What if nobody keeps them in check? And that is when Bitcoin comes into the picture by using a decentralized system. To explain decentralized, I like the story of chess. How many of you have played chess? I used to play competitive chess, right? When I was younger, my father used to send me for chess classes. Notice what these two chess players are doing. Can you see they've got some paper and pencil? What are they doing? They're writing down the moves in the game. Every move that is done is written down as a record, a permanent record, so that nobody can cheat. Because if you notice in the middle here, there is no judge, there is no central authority watching the game. It's just this player is watching him, he is watching her, she is recording, he is recording. That's how cryptocurrencies function in a decentralized network. Everybody who joins the network has a record of all the transactions from the beginning of time until now. Another term that is often used is called peer-to-peer. So we call this a peer-to-peer network because it's between you and me. There is no bank and there is no country, there is no government involved. Everybody is part of the network together. And this is thanks to a technology known as the blockchain. I won't be explaining the blockchain because it's rather complex and it's beyond the scope of this basic talk today. But essentially, think of the blockchain as a new form of technology where transactions are recorded permanently online. And once you've made a transaction, it cannot be changed. You see, unlike traditional finance, if you make a mistake, you can call your bank, say, oh, I made a mistake, and the bank help me refund or change and edit some things. Sometimes it's quite possible. But in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, once a transaction in Bitcoin has been confirmed and put onto the blockchain, it cannot be changed. It cannot be edited. And that's quite revolutionary. Now, I know sometimes this can be a bit confusing at first, but just keep in mind the example of Monopoly and the example of chess, and I think that will help you understand centralization and decentralization better. Now, I mentioned this, I used to be a skeptic, and now I'm a Bitcoin educator. What changed? What changed? As I did a study about what Bitcoin is and how it functions, I decided that this is something valuable. And the reason why I've included these three pictures is because I know that I'm speaking to a majority of you who perhaps are over the year of 50, 55 years of age. And I've spoken to seniors before. And oftentimes, one of the things that senior citizens usually tell me is that they don't believe it. They still are very hesitant. They're still very uncertain about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. So I know that you guys will recognize these big names here in the world of finance. You've got Morgan Stanley, you've got JP Morgan, you've got Goldman Sachs. How many of you know these names? I'm sure they're like the giants of industry. When you were alive, they were like the biggest names in finance. Now, what did they say about Bitcoin? Initially, Morgan Stanley said Bitcoin's real value could be zero. Oh no. JP Morgan said Bitcoin is a fraud. Oh no. Goldman Sachs says lists 5 reasons why Bitcoin is not an asset class nor a suitable investment. Oh, no, no, no. Now, I know that many of you, if you're above 50, above 55, you recognize these names. You trust these names. These are the names that you grew up looking up to as the giants of the financial world. Now, let me show you what these giants have changed in their narrative. Morgan Stanley, last time they said it's going to be zero. Today, Morgan Stanley becomes the first big US bank to offer its wealthy clients access to Bitcoin funds. JP Morgan said Bitcoin is a fraud. Today, JP Morgan says investors could make Bitcoin just 1% of their portfolios. Goldman Sachs says it's not an asset class, but now Goldman Sachs has restarted the cryptocurrency desk to offer cryptocurrency services to its clients. Wow, what changed, guys? Just over the course of 4 or 5 years, these giants of industry have changed their narrative. They've changed the way that they approach and look at Bitcoin because they want to now offer it to their clients, right? In fact, Warren Buffett, who is famously known for not wanting to invest all these new fintech companies and stuff like that, now he was just reported investing 1 billion in a Bitcoin-friendly neobank. I believe it's somewhere in Brazil, so like a fintech bank. And he, instead of Visa and MasterCard stocks. That's quite revolutionary to me, because Warren Buffett is someone who really doesn't have a very positive outlook of Bitcoin. He used to talk quite negatively about it. But now he is slowly warming up to the idea of Bitcoin, and many of these industry players are also beginning to warm up to the idea of Bitcoin. Now, I've talked about how Bitcoin, came to be from the evolution of finance. I've talked about a bit of its value, what decentralization is all about, even how, these big players are now starting to change their narrative. But although this sounds really good, very importantly, we need to understand a little bit about regulations of digital assets in Malaysia. So when I say digital assets, I'm referring to cryptocurrencies. In Malaysia, we use the formal term digital assets to refer to things like Bitcoin and Ethereum. Now, my question to the audience, all of you, you can type it in the comments or you can just think about it. Is Bitcoin legal in Malaysia? Think about it. Is Bitcoin legal? Does anybody say Bitcoin is legal in Malaysia? It's a good question to think about. And now, for those of you who came in earlier, the SC was actually showing some very nice videos about investor awareness and regulation and all that. And there are a lot of scams out there. So it's really important when you invest in crypto that you are fully aware about the regulations involved. So let me share a little bit. I can see some of you are typing it into the chat. Some people say yes, some people say no. No worries, let me clarify. Now, when it comes to cryptocurrency regulations, we look to two institutions primarily. The first one is Bank Negara Malaysia, right? Our central bank. The second one is the Securities Commission. Let me talk about Bank Negara first. Bank Negara actually has a very extensive guideline on something known as anti-money laundering and the counter-financing of terrorism for digital currencies. Right? So what Bank Negara wants to make sure is that any platform that offers digital currencies, right, digital assets rather, for investment, they need to make sure that there are processes in place to prevent money laundering, to prevent the financing of terrorism. And so Luno, for example, we follow these guidelines and we do something known as a KYC, right? Well, KYC stands for Know Your Customer. So Bank Negara has the guidelines that we need to know our customer, right? Whenever you register with a licensed exchange, you need to take a picture of your selfie, you need to take a picture of your IC, you need to put your name and address and details. And don't worry, Luno protects all of this under the PDPA, so your information is kept private. But we need to know these things in order to prevent money laundering and to prevent the financing of terrorism, right? So a licensed platform will follow the Bank Negara guidelines. The second guidelines that we also follow is the guidelines on recognized markets by the Securities Commission, Suruhanjaya Security Malaysia. They are the ones that make sure investment platforms are legitimate, investment platforms are audited, and investment platforms are safe for Malaysians to invest their money, right? And so they also have a very rigid and a very, very good comprehensive structure, framework, guidelines that as an investment platform, we need to obey. We need to make sure that we meet the highest standards in the country so that when we offer our services, Malaysians can invest in our service and our platform with peace of mind. So always look to the SC. If you're not sure, always ask the SC. You can call them up, you can email them and check with them. Is this platform licensed? If it is not licensed, do not trust that platform. And I'm very happy to say that Malaysia's first fully approved cryptocurrency wallet was Luno. Luno achieved it in 2019. We got the very first license in Malaysia to operate as a licensed digital asset exchange, where you now, as a Malaysian, you can invest safely and securely in things like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and others. So, how do you get started? I've been talking a lot about, Bitcoin and the regulations and all that. I know many of you are excited. Some of you are waiting, just waiting. How do I get started? Ross, how do I start buying? Well, very simply in 4 steps. First, you need to sign up at a regulated exchange, right? So there are 4 regulated digital asset exchanges in Malaysia. There's Luno, there's Tokenized, there's Synergy, and there's MX Global. All 4 of them are licensed by the SC, so you can invest in all 4 of them with peace of mind. I'm representing Luno, so if you'd like to invest in Luno, we welcome you with open arms. Second step is to verify your identity. So let's say you've gone on your phone, you've downloaded this app from the App Store, Play Store. Please just download from the official App Store or Play Store on your phone. Do not go to any other links, right? Because we want to make sure that you get the original one. Alternatively, for example, in Luno's case, you can go to www.luno.com and you can also sign up there. You will then be asked to verify your identity with your selfie of your face, your IC, and then you'll be required to put in your details. Make sure you put in the correct details and follow all as is written on your IC. So if your full name, my full name is Ross Stephenson, follow that exactly as it's written on your IC. Next, you can quickly deposit money into your wallet once you are verified, which takes approximately 1 to 2 working days. And once you've deposited money, you can do it instantly using our instant FPX deposit. After that, you can straight away start buying and investing in cryptocurrency. Let me show you a picture of what the wallet looks like. So it looks something like this. It's very, very simple layout, very easy for people to understand. You see, at Luno, we want to make it so simple that anyone can just download the app, start using it. All you have to do is to click a simple button buy, and you can already start your journey of investing in cryptocurrency. We also have different pages to showcase different news articles to help you stay up to date with all the news and happenings that are occurring in the world of cryptocurrency. Now, if I have enough time at the end of this session, I may show you a live demonstration of what the website looks like. But let me go through my slides first, and then we'll see whether we have enough time after the Q&A. Now, for those of you listening, perhaps some of you are Muslims, I would like to reassure you, because some of you may have doubts. Hey, is investing in crypto okay or not from a religious perspective? Well, guess what? The Sharia Advisory Council under the Securities Commission have declared that investing and trading of digital assets is permissible. So you can invest with peace of mind, but they also say that it's permissible on registered digital asset exchanges, such as, for example, the 4 I mentioned: Luno, Tokenized, Synergy, and MX Global, right? So if you're Muslim, you can rest assured that a Sharia Advisory Council has given this statement publicly. Now, what are the exchanges that are regulated? You should always check online. So this is a screenshot that I've taken from a website on the SC, the page that shows us the regulated digital asset exchanges: Luno, MX Global, Synergy, Tokenized. Please do not trust any random stranger that comes up to you. Always double check online. Go to www.sc.com.my and go and type into Google licensed or recognized digital asset exchanges by the SC, and you'll get this list. So you can do your own research and find out for yourself what is legitimate and what is not. So the SC is very clear. They write it all clearly so that investors don't get confused. In fact, not only do they have this list, they also have the investor alert list. Alert, alert, alert. Pay attention, guys. Why? Because this is where people lose a lot of money. There is another list, and this is just a screenshot. There are many other names in the list of organizations that are not licensed by the SC. So for example, look at this one at the bottom: Trader, Crypto, Invest Trade Asia, Invest Trade Global. They've put the website here, and they said here it's carrying on unlicensed capital market activities, illegal investment scheme offering high returns of 15,000 ringgit in 3 hours. Come on, guys. In which place on earth can you earn 15,000 in 3 hours? That seems too good to be true, right? As they say in Malay, indah kabar daripada rupa. So always check. You can go online and Google SC Investor Alert List and see whether or not the investment platform's name is listed here. If you're not sure, call up the SC and ask them, hello, could you please help me check? Is this platform legitimate? Is it not? Only after you check, then you should invest. Now, why is this important? Why do you need to go through all of these checks and balances? The reason why is because of this. You see, these digital asset exchanges are licensed by the SC, which means that we're audited and we're kept in check. Should you as an investor have a problem, let's say you deposit money, the money didn't appear, you can go to the SC and get the help that you need. The SC will fight for you. They will be on your side because they want to protect the money and the investments of all Malaysian investors. However, if you invest in an unregulated exchange like one of these that's listed here, the SC cannot help you because they are not licensed. They could be based in an office overseas. You don't know where they are. You don't know who they are. And because they don't have a license, the SC is unable to assist you, right? If you invest your money and you lose your money, nobody can help you. This is your money, guys. You need to take care of it. You need to choose your investment platform wisely. So always trust a licensed platform in your locality. Now, talking about cybersecurity is something that I always emphasize on no matter what session I'm doing about cryptocurrency. Bitcoin is great, the value is great, regulations are good, but cybersecurity awareness is extremely important, especially in today's world. Cryptocurrency scams oftentimes target your age group, right? 50 and above. They like to target senior citizens. Why? Because senior citizens usually have a lot of money and unfortunately fall prey and fall victim to many scams that are out there. Let me show you some examples. When you see things like, I'm going to make you rich or earn $1,000 a day for life, become a millionaire in 30 days, make outstanding profit. These are the kinds of things that should trigger a red flag in your mind. Like, wait a minute, sounds too good to be true. And trust me, if it sounds too good to be true, it's probably a scam. So whenever you see things like this, psychologically, we all feel like, yes, I want to become rich. I want to become rich. But we forget that oftentimes we lose our money more than we earn it in these kinds of scams. So please be careful. Now, some of the typical kinds of scams that you might see, you might even have received some of these messages before. In fact, if you have been scammed, can you leave a comment for me so I can see if you kena scam before? I have been scammed before, right? I've invested in platforms, I've lost money, and I've learned from those experiences. So don't make my mistakes. Learn and do better than me. Now, look at some of these examples. This is the most viral crypto yet. Tons of celebrities are backing it. We have incredible features. Just a random message on Instagram. How can you trust a random stranger? You wouldn't give money to a random stranger on the road, right? So why should you trust someone who randomly sends you a message? Telegram scams are also very popular. People say here, see, pilih package pelaburan, modal RM1,000, untung RM10,000. Where in the world can you find investment? You put in 1,000, you get back 10,000. Doesn't make sense, right? In fact, what they do to get you involved even more is that they will get fake people to post pictures like this with all these bundles of money, and they'll say, wah, awak dah ambil wang awak, thanks, and bantu semalam kejayaan pelaburan ni. This is all a scam, guys. If people are making money, they don't go and take pictures of 50 ringgit note and put. But psychologically, we get involved because we think, oh man, I cannot miss out on this opportunity. I need to earn money quick. Always remind yourself, these are all scams, right? Whenever they promise you, you're going to get rich quick. So please stay as far as you can. Another typical scam that many people fall victim to is SMS scams, right? So if you receive an SMS from a weird number, look at this number, +27639, okay, immediately you should have alarm bells ringing in your head. Something is not right. This is not a typical number where you receive normal messages from, right? Or they ask you to call this number. Again, be very suspicious, right? Why would you call a random number? Go to the website of the bank or the financial institution or the investment platform. Go and check what is the real number before you call, right? Investment platforms always have official ways of contacting them, either the customer service number or the email. Those are the two official ways that you can contact many investment platforms, including Luno. But when it comes to these random SMSs that you get to click on links, the moment you click, you might just lose your information and your funds. So please be very careful. Don't simply trust these random SMSs and messages. Always be suspicious of them. Another thing that sometimes people get is like, I think earlier on, you would have watched the videos by the SC, something known as clone websites, right? Or phishing websites. These are websites that look very similar to the real thing, but are not. How do you check? You look at the URL here, https://cm/bnd.com. What is this? I want to go to luno.com, right? And then suddenly you see luno.wallet. So this is incorrect. I should see www.luno.com. Then I know it's the correct Luno website. So there are many phishing sites. Even for banks, Maybank, CIMB, many of them, sometimes scammers, they clone the website. It looks very nice. It looks exactly like the bank or the investment platform. Always double check the URL at the top. Make sure that it is really the correct name. If you're not sure, call the SC and ask them, make sure you are 100% certain that this is the right one. So just to recap, these are some of the red flags that you need to look out for. The moment you see an investment that says, hey, very high return, come now, earn lots of money, or they say you will never lose money, that's a scam. If they have no verifiable information, no licenses, no regulation by the SC, do not trust. Right? Or if you have difficulty withdrawing your fund, let's say you put in 10,000, then let's say you want to withdraw, then they say, oh, cannot, I have to wait. The moment they say that, something is not right. Or if you see a pyramid scheme saying, hey, bring your friends, bring your referral, and you earn and become a millionaire in 30 days. Again, be very careful. Some of them can be scams. And last but not the least, many of these scammers will tell you, hey, you must invest now, take opportunity now, buy, this, buy that. Always be very careful, because this is where the scammers will manipulate you and make you think you must invest now. Don't. As I always say, ask first, invest later. Ask first, invest later. All right. So some are good practices. I'll just briefly explain. Always have a strong password. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are using ABC123, please stop doing that. Okay, use a proper password with capital letter, small letter, numbers, and symbol, or invest in a good password system such as LastPass, where you can buy its industry grade level. They will create the passwords for you, they will store it for you, so it's much easier, right? If you have difficulty remembering passwords, be extra cautious when it comes to links or clicking anything on your phone. Don't just simply click. Ask yourself, is this legitimate or not? Check on the www.sc.com.my if you want to double check whether this platform is legit or not legit. And always activate 2FA. What is 2FA? 2FA stands for two-factor authentication, right? Two-factor authentication. This is where you connect your device to a Google authenticator that will give you a 6-digit code every time you want to log in or do a transaction. So this is very good because this is an extra level of safety. Let's say some scammer in another country steals your email and your password. Even if they have your email and password, they cannot access your account because you have 2FA on your phone. So they would need to see the code on your phone, which only you can see, right? So always make sure you activate 2FA. You can do it in Luno very easily, and you can do it for most investment platforms. There will always be a 2FA option. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, I've done a lot of talking. I've brought you through a brief evolution of finance. I explained the value of Bitcoin, right? I talked about regulations in Malaysia, right? And that Bitcoin can be a regulated digital asset as long as you use a licensed platform like Luno. I even talked about different cybersecurity awareness and scams that you need to be aware of. The last thing I want to leave you with this is a story, right? And this story is to help illustrate and explain why you should care about crypto. You see, 10, 20 years ago, nobody cared about crypto. Everybody was just doing their own thing. Today, everybody's talking about it, but you need to know why you should care. And this is my personal story that I'd like to share with you. Because today is about, talking to senior citizens. My grandmother features a lot in my stories, right? She's a wonderful woman, she, again, the same grandmother who was in Malacca, right? The kampung in Malacca. My grandmother was very familiar with only one type of phone, right? This kind of dial phone. How many of you remember this phone? I'm sure for those of you, if you're senior, above the age of 40, 50, you definitely have used this phone before, right? You have to dial the number around the circle, tick, 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 right? It's very slow. But my grandmother was super fast. She straight away, she knows who to call, what number, she memorized everything. The problem was she never learned to adapt and evolve with the technology of her time. Smartphones came into the picture, everything was changing, flat screen, can take video, call, picture and all that. She never learned how to use. She didn't know. She never learned how to use a computer also. One day, my mother was asking my grandmother to pass the phone. She said, Amma, can you pass my handphone? And then very carefully, my grandmother brought the aircon remote. She brought the aircon remote and gave to my mother. My mother was like, Ross, grandma doesn't know. Go and get my handphone. Go and get my handphone. And my grandmother didn't know. She apologized because she thought the aircon remote was a handphone. And I laughed because, I was a grandson. I thought it was really funny that, grandma doesn't know what is handphone, what is aircon remote. She got confused. I laughed. I thought it was funny. But then as I look back at it now, right, as I was preparing this presentation, I realized something sad. I realized that my grandmother stayed stuck with the technology of her era, of her time. And she never evolved with the changing technology around her. She never improved. She never learned. Now, she was happy. She was not unhappy. She was okay using the phone. But the rest of the world had moved on. And she was only stuck with the technology that she was comfortable with. Ladies and gentlemen, the world around us is changing. Those days when you guys wanted to listen to music, you would have to have the cassette player or the big record or CDs. Nowadays, people listen to music all digitally, all on Spotify. Those days, you want to watch a movie, you have to go and line up at the cinema, queue. Maybe the tickets might be sold out. You cannot book online. Today, you want to go and watch a movie, you just take out your phone, Netflix, and you can see every movie. Those days, you want to read the news, you have to open the big newspaper, wait for the uncle to throw the newspaper in your house, big paper. Now, if you want the news, you can read the news from all the four corners of the globe at the tips of your fingers on your handphone. Ladies and gentlemen, our world is becoming progressively more and more digital. Don't you think your finance should also become digital too? All right, so let me recap. I've talked about my personal story, how I transformed my life from a skeptic into a crypto educator, the evolution of finance all the way from barter trade, all the way until cryptocurrencies today. What is Bitcoin? Digital, decentralized currency, which has value because it is limited like gold. It is also decentralized, so no single person controls it. It's part of everybody who joins in the network. And it has utility, usefulness, because it can be used to transfer overseas quickly and much cheaper than traditional finance. A changing narrative. You saw how the big industry players have changed their opinion about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies over time. Regulations in Malaysia, so you saw that, yes, it is perfectly legal for you to invest and trade in cryptocurrencies as long as you use a regulated licensed exchange like Luno. Getting started, I showed you a picture of the app. If I have time, I might show you the website as well. Regulated versus unregulated. Always check on the SC's website to make sure you know where you're putting your money in a licensed exchange, so that should anything go wrong, you will have someone who can help you. Cybersecurity awareness, very important. Always make sure you strong passwords. Don't go and simply click on any links, and always make sure you have your 2FA activated. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go into a time of Q&A. I'm going to pass it back to the MC to open a time of Q&A. Don't go anywhere, because I also have a promo code that I want to share with all of you after the Q&A session.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Ross, for your very informative presentation. So we have a couple of questions.
Sure.
So the first one is, okay, there's two parts to it, but maybe I'll take the first part and you can take the second part. The question is Luno recognized by Bank Negara Malaysia? So as Ross
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so let me explain that a little bit. So Bank Negara Malaysia definitely is one of the regulatory bodies that oversees cryptocurrencies. And yes, we are recognized. In fact, but when it comes to recognized, the licensing actually comes from the SC. So SC is actually what gives us the license, because we're an investment platform and we offer these services, digital asset services, to Malaysians. So that actually comes under the purview of the SC in terms of licensing and so on. But in terms of Bank Negara, we are in accordance with their guidelines. We work together very closely with them. When they update the guidelines, we also listen to them and we follow accordingly. So yes, they do recognize us. We are not unknown to them, and we work very, very closely with the Bank Negara as well.
And okay, so the next part of the question is, how do we withdraw the profit from Luno, and what is the fee and the minimum amount to withdraw or to invest?
Okay, that's an excellent question. I don't know if I can show my screen. Let me actually show, since this question, okay, now I'll just close my screen for a moment. I'll just put my face here for now, and then later I'll share my screen again. So when it comes to it, okay, I'll answer one question. There were a few questions there. When it comes to investing in Luno, the minimum amount to invest when it comes to buying Bitcoin is as low as RM1. As low as RM1. So it's really, really affordable. It's easy. We want to make it as easy for all Malaysians to start investing with Luno. So just RM1 you can start. You know, sometimes I tell people that, they say that, oh, it's so expensive, it's so expensive. It's like, do you have 10 ringgit? Or 10 ringgit also so expensive. Do you have RM1? And then they're like, oh, really, RM1 can? Yes, it's possible through our instant buy feature. Now, if you use the features of Luno when it comes to buying, the fees can range. So there's a range of fees. If you use our exchange, it can go as low as 0.25 or even lesser if you're a high volume trader. But I don't want to go into the technical details. What you can do is that you can go online, Google for Luno's fees structure, and you can actually see how much do you have to trade to get cheaper fees. But generally, for most regular traders, we will usually have a 0.25 to 0.5% fee on the exchange. If you use the instant buy feature, which means you can buy instantly, just touch the button, one button buy at your convenience, we charge a 2% fee of those transactions. Those are for people who don't want to worry about trading. The graph and exchange is very complicated. We make it easy, super convenient, a 2% fee on that one. When it comes to withdrawal, I think there was a question about withdrawal. You can withdraw your money anytime. We will process it on working days. So let's say you withdraw on Monday morning, you'll get your money by Monday afternoon, right? If you draw by Monday afternoon, you get it by Monday night, right? So it has to be on a working day, not public holidays. And I believe the fee is just 10 cents. It's very cheap. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, so the next question is, Bitcoin capital gains tax applicable?
Okay, so I must make it very clear, a quick disclaimer. I am not a licensed tax consultant, right? I'm just a cryptocurrency educator. What I can share with my limited knowledge is that when it comes to taxes and capital gains in Malaysia, Malaysia does not have capital gains tax. So if you were to invest in crypto for the long term, let's say you buy it in January and you sell it in December, that's capital gain. So the profit from that is currently not taxable in Malaysia. Currently, because we don't know whether tax laws may change. However, when you are a trader, so let's say you're actively trading, you're buying, selling with the intention of generating profit, then you need to pay a tax on that profit. So that one you have to pay tax. But if it's just capital gains, right? For long-term investment, that one you don't have to pay tax, as far as our current laws say. But again, I will make this very important disclaimer. I'm not a tax consultant. Please, if you have questions about tax, please go and consult a licensed tax consultant. In fact, tomorrow night, I will be hosting a session for the Luno community on a session about cryptocurrency and taxes. So come and go and search for the Luno Malaysia community Facebook group. Go and join the group, and then tomorrow night you'll see me hosting a session on our private group where we'll be talking about cryptocurrency and taxes with a professional.
Thank you. And okay, the next question, is Bitcoin and cryptocurrency the same?
Oh, excellent question. Very good, very good. So people tend to mix them up because they use them interchangeably. So cryptocurrency is the large umbrella term. And then Bitcoin is just one of the types of cryptocurrency. It's just like in the world of Forex, right? So like, for example, currency, we use the word currency. Then under currency, the large umbrella term, you've got US dollar, Malaysian ringgit, Singapore dollar, Aussie dollar, right? So currency is the big term. Cryptocurrency is also the bigger term. Bitcoin is one of the types of cryptocurrencies. Another one, for example, is Ethereum. There's also Litecoin. There's also XRP, Bitcoin Cash, and all of them are offered under Luno.
All right. There is also a few questions on how the manufacturers of Bitcoin happens and also what's the mining. Perhaps you can just give a brief, explanation on how it works.
Yeah. I usually avoid this topic, Prita, because it's very complicated and people, after I explain, they're still scratching their heads. But I'm glad to see the audience is excited to know. I'm always excited to share. I'll try to keep it as simple as possible. Okay. So I want all of you to remember that, first of all, Bitcoin is decentralized, meaning that anyone around the world can participate. It's not controlled by one company, one government. So in 2009, the creator of Bitcoin, his pseudonym is Satoshi Nakamoto. We don't know what his real name is or his real identity. He created this new network called the Bitcoin blockchain. And on this blockchain, the blockchain is basically a record of all transactions. So if I send Bitcoin, someone receives Bitcoin, all those transactions are recorded. But someone needs to process the transactions. You see, in traditional finance, ladies and gentlemen, if I have a Maybank account, you have a CIMB account, I send money from my Maybank to your CIMB. Maybank processes it, CIMB processes it. Those are central authorities. But Bitcoin doesn't have a bank. So who processes it? If you have a computer, you can actually connect your computer to the Bitcoin network, and you can process transactions. So you become sort of like your own miniature bank, right? So as you process the transactions, those transactions are then added onto the network, and everyone who helps to process transactions gets paid in Bitcoin. So the system rewards itself. Those who participate get rewarded in Bitcoin, right? And so again, this can be quite complex, but you just have to think about it in this term. Instead of a bank controlling the finance, now everybody becomes a miniature bank. So you can connect your computer, all of us connect our computers, and we work together to process transactions and keep the network running. That's how the blockchain works.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, we have one last question. I think this is based on the first part of the presentation. Mm-hmm. So if there is a limit of 21 million, what happens when someone does not have Bitcoin? So there is a limit of its use as a currency?
Okay, that's an excellent question. The limit in terms of Bitcoin is the limit of its supply, right? So if, and I can tell you there are many people in the world who don't own Bitcoin, right? Owning Bitcoin is a choice you have to make whether you want to invest in it or not. In fact, interesting fact, when Bitcoin was first created, it was created with the intention of being a system of payment, meaning that you use Bitcoin to buy and sell goods and services without a bank getting involved. But over the years, the narrative has changed that now people don't really use Bitcoin as a system of currency. They use it as a form of investment. In fact, in Malaysia as well, it's considered an investment, but we don't consider it legal tender, right? You can't go to McDonald's in Malaysia and pay for your burger with Bitcoin. Now, when it comes to ownership of Bitcoin, that's your choice. Do you want to own some Bitcoin? Feel free to do so. If you go to exchanges such as Luno, people are always buying and selling Bitcoin. Every second, people are buying, selling Bitcoin. There's always a supply there of people buying and selling. So you can invest in it. You can buy some, you can own some if you want. But if you're asking me in theory, what happens when you reach the limit and everybody doesn't sell their Bitcoin? That's an interesting hypothetical situation. Unfortunately, I'm not God. I don't have the vision for the future. But I mean, that would be quite an interesting thing. What if I mean, if you think about it, if all the gold production in the world stopped and everybody just hold their gold and don't sell, what happens then? It's an interesting thought experiment. I don't really have a firm answer for that sort of a question, but as far as evidence shows, people are always buying, selling, and trading their Bitcoin because they also want to make money from it. They also want to invest in it. They also want to sell it. So I always believe that people will continue to do that. Yeah.
Perhaps, I mean, there are some questions about the coins itself because there's actually 5 coins that's actually approved in Malaysia. So perhaps you can tell us, like, what's the difference, like, like what's the difference between each coins,
Okay, wow, okay. If I told you the difference in all the coins, will take another 2 hours. But
yeah, this like briefly,
very
like,
briefly, yeah, very briefly. So we've got the 5 coins that are currently offered under Luno. And some people ask, first of all, I must address this question because I saw some people typing, why only 5 coins? So Luno works very closely with the Securities Commission. We want to offer coins which have a good track record and are suitable investments, especially for beginners. We don't offer coins like, I think some people were typing Dogecoin and stuff, because those are extremely volatile and people can get hurt if they invest in those coins without prior knowledge. So these 5 coins like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, and XRP. Very simply, Bitcoin is sort of like quote unquote the digital gold. It's like the original gangster, the one that came out first, most popular. And so Bitcoin has the strongest narrative when it comes to decentralized cryptocurrency, a type of crypto that is completely not controlled by any government or institution. So that's what Bitcoin represents, right? Digital gold in that sense. Then we have Ethereum. Ethereum is interesting because the Ethereum network can be used to develop decentralized applications. So think of Ethereum sort of like the internet of cryptocurrencies. You can create applications, you can create programs, you can run systems on the Ethereum blockchain and the Ethereum network, and you need the Ethereum cryptocurrency to pay for those transactions. So Ethereum takes Bitcoin one step further. Right, Bitcoin is just like a cryptocurrency, like a system of payment. Ethereum, you can build on top of it and you can create applications. Litecoin basically wanted to be Bitcoin's a faster version. That's why they call it Lite. It's a lighter version of Bitcoin. It's faster and it's cheaper. Similarly with Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin Cash also wanted to be a faster and cheaper version of Bitcoin so that we can use it for cash transactions more efficiently. And lastly, XRP. XRP was created, the network was created specifically to facilitate cross-border remittance. So when you transfer money from like Malaysia to US, it's actually very slow and very expensive. It takes 2 to 3 business days. It can cost a lot of money. But if you use XRP and you transfer, it's much faster. And it's because it's so much faster, it's a lot cheaper as well. The network is much cheaper. So very briefly, again, this does not cover every single aspect. I just want to say that it's a very, very simple introductory difference between all the 5 tokens.
Thank you very much, Ross, for
very welcome.
all the questions. Okay, you did mention that you want to do like a guide on your Luno app.
Yes, I don't know. Do we still have some time for this?
Yeah, sure. Maybe just a very quick one.
Very quick one. Can you see if my screen is showing?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so very good. Ladies and gentlemen, this is just a little test account that I have. And so this is what the Luno app looks like. Once you've logged in, you will see this, right? This is the home page. Again, we want to make it super easy, super user-friendly, that anybody can just looking at this straight away click buy and they can start investing, right? So this is the chart of Bitcoin. You can scroll through the other charts of each of the cryptocurrencies that are offered. And then what I want to show is the wallet. So this is how you start depositing money. Now, I've already deposited earlier because it takes a few minutes, but to show you the process, how simple it is, right? I just click on my Ringgit wallet, click here. I can click deposit or withdraw. So I click deposit. And then I choose FPX instant transfer. As the name suggests, this is instant. If you use bank transfer, it's the interbank gyro transfer. It's a bit slower, right? It takes 1 day to process. But FPX instant, I click on it. Let's say I put an amount of 100. If you put 100 and above, it's free. If you put below 100, it will charge you 70 cents, right? So just make sure if you want to avoid that small charge, you just put 100, click next. And then it will always have a very important announcement, always use your own bank account. Don't use your father's account, mother's account, auntie's account. Don't. Click yes, I will deposit from my own account under my name. Click continue. Click continue to FPX. And then on the FPX screen, it's very similar to when you're buying stuff online and stuff like that. You just choose your bank. So let's say you got CIMB, you click proceed. Now I won't show you now because then, I don't want to accidentally enter my banking details. That will be very bad. But basically you follow the instructions, you put in the money and instantly the money will then reflect in your wallet. So I've already deposited just to show you as an example. Those of you want to withdraw, very simple, click withdraw, click on your bank account, click the amount, maximum you want to withdraw, click next, click confirm, and the money will appear in your account. If you withdraw in the morning, you'll get it by the afternoon or the evening on the day itself. Remember that you must do it on a working day. Now, when it comes to buying, very simple, right? So let's say I've got Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Bitcoin Cash, all of them zero. This is just, again, it's just a test account to show you what the platform looks like. I click buy. Then I click Bitcoin. I want to buy Bitcoin. So how, do I do a once off? Do I just buy it once off like that? Or do I want to buy repeatedly? Buying repeatedly is a form of dollar cost averaging. For those of you who are investors, this simply means that you buy a small amount every month or every week in small amounts, and you grow that amount over time, right? It doesn't matter what the price is, you just grow over time. I actually do this. I do about, a certain amount of money every first of the month. I will repeatedly buy. Now, if I click once off, just for example purposes, I click on my Ringgit wallet. So you can only buy and sell in Ringgit. And let's say I put, it logged me out. I accidentally logged out by mistake. But anyway, just to show you an example of what the wallet looks like, I hope you guys managed to see it. I'm so sorry. Suddenly I accidentally clicked the logout button. But anyway, I hope that gives you a simple understanding of how the app layout looks like. It's very simple. Just buttons, click buy, click sell. Voila, it is as easy as 1, 2, 3, right? So we want to make the app really simple and easy, not only to buy and sell, but also to deposit and also to withdraw. Just the click of a button. All the instructions are very clearly written there so that you can rest assured it's super easy to use. So last but not the least, I also have a feedback form. If you, ladies and gentlemen, if you could help me fill it up, I will copy and paste the link as well. So you can either scan it with your handphone, or you can also go to the link which I have pasted inside your Zoom chat. Yeah, could you help me kindly fill up that form so that I can continue to improve on my presentations and work more closely with the SC to even educate more people about crypto. It's really my mission that this year, whole of Malaysia should at least know what is Bitcoin. So, ladies and gentlemen, please, if you want to partner with Luno as well, if you have an organization that wants cryptocurrency educational classes, please contact me. You can find me on LinkedIn. Just type my name, Ross Stephenson. Look for the guy with the big afro hair. I'm very hard to miss. And then you can get in touch with me via LinkedIn. That's the end of my slides. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. It's been an absolute pleasure. God bless you all. And I pass the time back to Preeta.
Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us, and also thank you, Ross, once again for speaking in our webinar. So don't forget, if you wish to watch this webinar again, we will upload the webinar on our YouTube channel in due course, and do check out our previous webinar sessions on our YouTube channel as well. So stay tuned to our social media platform as we will update on our next webinar sessions. And don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms for up-to-date information on our events and basic information on how to be a smart investor. Before we end the session, just a quick reminder to all, always check the SC's investor alerts before investing. Also remember, when making an investment, to never ever deposit into an individual personal bank account, even if they are licensed or registered with authorities. With that, we have come to an end and hope to see you all again in our next webinar. Thank you very much.